Deck clips continue to be one of the most popular methods of fastening Brazilian hardwoods. I've talked a little bit about camo in my About Fastening Methods video, and I encourage everybody to watch that. But this video, I'm going to go into detail about deck clips, specifically Brazilian wood depot deck clips. So stay tuned, we're going to get into it. Okay, like I said, deck clips continue to be one of the most popular methods of fastening Ipe decking and Brazilian hardwood decking. I've talked a little bit about camo. I'll make a separate video going in more detail about camo. In this video, I want to talk to you about our deck clips, how they're different, the ProPlug system, which almost always, not always, but almost always, goes with the deck clips. And then at the very end of this video, stay tuned or skip forward, I don't mind, and watch me put these few boards together. I kind of show you the process and the little quirks about using our deck clips and deck clips in general. So the first thing is what makes our deck clips different than other deck clips. Well, our deck clips, as you can see here, are T-shaped. I'm going to put an image on one of these two sides here so that you can see it as I'm talking about it with you. They're T-shaped deck clips. What you see here is the regular deck clip on the bottom, and then about 25 of the extra wide deck clips. I'll tell you what those are for, and then a drill bit, actually a drive bit on the top. Some deck clips have a screw going in at an angle. They want you to pre-drill the bottom of the deck board here, right below, right into the groove. So the screw goes into the deck clip at an angle and then into the joist. That's not how ours work. Ours don't require pre-drilling. My goodness. You just go straight into the clip, into the joist. So there's no pre-drilling involved. That's one difference. Another difference is all other deck clips on the market don't have very wide wingspans. And what I mean by the wingspan is the grab into the kerf of the board, the kerf or the groove. I'm going to refer to it as kerf a lot in this video because that's what we call it. Ours have, I think it's just about a ½ inch of grab on the board, and anything less than that is really not sufficient, and I wouldn't advise it. And I know there's a lot of different kind of clips on the market, and I don't know about all of them. I just know that some of them have a very short wingspan, and that's not good. The other clips, I won't mention them by name, but you may know that go into the screws go into them at a 45-degree angle. The problem is when you get the boards together, you lose access to that screw head, which in my opinion is not ideal. Also, you're pre-drilling, which adds to the overall labor. When you use our deck clips, I'll talk about it when I go through it, but you must use construction adhesive on the joists. It keeps the boards in place. What happens is if you don't use construction adhesive on the joist, the boards expand and contract ever so slightly from season to season. So what can happen is some boards may go one direction, other boards may go another direction, but you can build up lateral pressure if boards want to go inch in the same direction, and eventually something's got to give. So then you have buckling. I've never ever heard of boards buckling when using construction adhesive. The brand name that we throw around here is Liquid Nails. Any all-weather construction adhesive is appropriate. This is not why this is here, so really Titebond is not the right answer. Liquid Nails is fine. I'll talk about Titebond when I get to the ProPlug system. Some people say, well, I'm using joist tape, so can I use the joist tape with the construction adhesive? No, don't do that. That's not ideal. It's not going to give as good a hold to the deck tape as it does the wood. So the glue actually serves as a joist protectant. And if you ask some old-timer contractors, they'll tell you glue works very well to protect the tops of the joist. Where it meets the board, that's typically where you run into problems. Okay, so we talked about why we like our deck clips over other deck clips, and I stand by that, I really do. For the first and last boards, I use the ProPlug system when I'm quoting my customers. You can also use a stainless steel trim head screw, but you have to go into the face of the board. For instance, if this is a deck, this structure here, and I'm the house, you can't get a clip here, and you can't cut a clip in half for over here. So you go through the face of the board with some plugs. That's where the ProPlug system comes into play. We like the ProPlug system because it comes with this ProPlug tool. It's actually sold separately, but we sell them together. So the ProPlug tool pre-drills your screw hole, and I used this on this demonstration piece, so I have mine open. I'm waiting for the banging to stop. It bores the hole with this blade here, and then it pre-drills your screw. Not only that, but it has this stopper. There's a rubber gasket on here, so it has this really nice stopper that will stop at the exact right depth. So you get your plug, you dab some glue around the edges, and then you can use a board to tap it flush. You could sand it a little bit. I guess that's typically a good idea, but I don't think you have to sand it every time. I've gotten them flush enough with just using a scrap piece of board that you don't need to sand it at all. So that's all I have to say, I think, about these clips. Good wingspan on them. Oh, the double wide clips. You're going to see me use them here in a second. The reason and these are brand new, we're the only ones that have a double wide clip, and the reason we have them are for butt joints. On butt joints, before you could use 2 clips or try to grab the corner with one. Let me show you what I mean. Right here. Right where this line is. So right where that line is, on either side of the board, here and down here, I used a double wide, and you can use the double wides on any place on the board. It doesn't have to just be on butt joints, but you only get 25 of them in a pack, so use them where the butt joints are. If you don't have any butt joints, then use them wherever you want. I think it's a really cool feature, and hopefully I still have this image up so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. They're double the width of the regular clips. Okay, that's all. Let me show you how I put this thing together, and then I'll come back one more time to sign off.
Before we get started, I want to let you know that I'm not a deck builder or a deck installer. I have virtually no experience in that area, and also I'm not particularly handy. The joists that I'm using in this demonstration are not perfectly in line, which makes things even more challenging. Again, this is for demonstration purposes only. Thank you.
Okay, so remember, when you're getting started, you want to use glue on the joist. You really need to use glue on the joist because when they expand and contract, boards can walk and build up pressure in certain areas. I'm not going to use liquid nails on these joists just for demonstration purposes, but you must use glue on the joists when you're using these clips. So on the first edge, on the first board, the glue is really not as important, although you might as well. It's not as important because we're actually going to be putting a screw through this first board. So first, we're going to go in with the ProPlug tool and the ProPlug kit here. So I'll set it right here. I'm going to do the plugs later. We'll get this. We have the screws and the drive bit here.
So again, we love this system. We sell the system a lot with both our clips and the camo system. Again, it bores out the right size hole so you can save your fastener bit, and it goes the right depth, which I think is the most important thing. The main thing is go in and out a couple times, make sure you've bored it out completely, giving yourself enough clearance.
All right, we'll come back and plug the holes later at the end. Everything looks nice here. All right. Now we talked about the wider clip, so I'm going to do the next board, my butt joint board, and what you'll notice here is that I've already sanded these edges. It's a really good practice to sand the edges of the butt joints because it makes it look so much nicer than just having 2 square ends together. For instance, like this. These boards are already a little chewed up, but square edges they just don't look as good. You could take an 1/8 inch roundover bit, but I did 3 passes on the top, 1, 2, 3, 3 or 4, 60 or 80 grit. I think mine was 80 grit, but you can use 60 grit too. It's just as effective.
So what I'm showing you here is the wide clip versus the smaller clip, and I'm using the wider clip on the butt joint. One thing that made this demonstration a little harder is because the center joist was about 3/16 lower than the 2 side joists, which is not typical. I was just throwing this together for this demonstration, which is fine. Subfloor adhesive construction adhesive like liquid nails, like we've been talking about using on the joists, is really good for filling up the kind of gaps that might be between the heights, the differences of height between the joists. It fills that up nicely, so you know there wouldn't really be any problem either way, but the glue does you know, even those kind of things out. But in this case, it kind of just made it harder for me.
Now look at me, I left a little gap. You do not need to leave this gap here. You can have them straight flush together like this. I like it because I think it looks nice. It's got a similar edge to these on the side. I just think it looks nice. You don't have to do it that way. You don't need that gap.
The main thing is when putting these clips down is when you're screwing them in, before you get the next board in, don't over tighten. You over tighten them, you won't be able to slide it on. No big deal, just back out the screw and then slide the board in and then tighten the screw. The drive bits are really skinny and they're made that way so they fit between these boards without nicking them.
But you notice how I started here, got the plugs flush, brought in the next set of clips, brought those down, don't over tighten, come back and tighten these. Get these screws started. Not too tight, don't over tighten, come back and tighten these. Next board in. Now I can tighten the screws because this last edge, even though it's lifting a little bit, it's going to be pulled down with the ProPlug system. So back to the ProPlug just for a second.
And a little pro tip about the ProPlug system. The ProPlug kits come with the plugs, 2.5-inch stainless steel screws, and a glue nozzle. The ProPlug tool is sold separately, but the Ipe Pro plugs are also sold individually, and you could use your own cheaper steel screws if you have them.
Time to go back with the Pro plugs themselves. And what you'll see is that these plugs fit perfectly in to these holes. I usually use a little piece of scrap block. Now first you have to dab in the glue. It comes with this glue nozzle. I like to use Titebond. I typically will get a screw, put the Titebond in a container, get the screw in there, and then wipe it around the holes, just like that. Get it in there. I'm not going to do that right now because it's kind of messy. Tap it with a hammer, go over it quickly with a sander later. Again, glue around the sides. I'll finish this up, but there you have it. That's the general process. I'm going to go dry down and finish making the rest of this video, and I'll sign out after I dry the sweat off my face. Alright folks, thanks for watching my little tutorial here about our deck clips. I still really like them. I also like the camo system, but I think not everybody, a majority of customers still don't know about the camo, so they always ask about the clips, and you know, sometimes we don't have time to explain the camo system, but I generally tell people to watch the About Fastening Methods video. I'll put a link to that here right now. But here is my project. Not quite finished because I didn't have the time. I have the plugs in here. I need to tap them down a little further. I didn't include the plugs in here just because I wanted to get this video finished, and I think everybody gets the idea. Remember, glue on the joists, round over the edges for the butt joints, use the wide clips on those butt joint areas, and use the wide, if you have extra wide clips, just use them wherever you want because there's no harm in using them even if there's not a butt joint. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon.